Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namune, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate. a good day. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Naminai, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasayate. So horrible namaste. So today we will establish and put a closure to what we're trying to achieve. Okay? The quest or the endeavor we're praying, okay? Praying and hoping to achieve, which is to be pleasing to the Supreme Person. Okay? And the reason is this, so we can be really fixed in our endeavor in this path with clarity. So, sa araw ngayon, pag-uusapan natin, paano natin ma-address finally sa ginagawa nyo, kasi you've been chanting, you've been hearing, study program, then what will give you this confidence, this drive, this enthusiasm to carry on? Maski we are engaged in so many activities and it's a hard world, why will we carry on? So, sa buhay nyo ngayon, lahat kayo nandito, kung titignan nyo, why discipline? Why discipline? Why, bakit kailangan i-redirect nyo yung ginagawa nyo with the science that will give us connection with the will of God and solve the problems that we are facing today? Okay? Ano yung magdadrive sa inyo? It's God Himself who gives us this guidance. And you must be with clarity, lahat tayo, to understand that the Supreme Person is the Supreme Enjoyer. He simply enjoys every activities that he performs is simply for his enjoyment. For example, us in this material world, material nature, it's simply for the pleasure of the Supreme Person. Okay? Ngayon, babasahin ko yung teachings ni Lord Chaitanya para makita natin na clearly kung ano yung dapat nating gawin. And I will also give you some instances wherein if we are not guided by God Himself, by doing His will, then we'll face problems. Okay? This material world is a place for all those individuals like us who wants to be Lord, attempted enjoyment. Okay? But you must be very clear. We must be very, 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 very clear with our position that we are not self-sufficient. We are not God. Okay? So I'll read to you this teaching, okay, of Lord Chaitanya in this age of Kali Yuga. So in the Puranas, in all the Vedic scriptures, from our instructing spiritual master, the prime benediction, the sacrifice or yajna, the supreme yajna or sacrifice in this age is the chanting of the holy names, the Sankirtan, which is the Mahamantra. Okay? The glorification of God's holy names. So I'll read to you here the teachings of mission of Lord Chaitanya. So when Lord Chaitanya came here 500 years ago, he made it very clear and simple how we can succeed. Pinakita ni Lord Chaitanya how we can succeed. Okay? So I'll give you some instances wherein the narrative given to us by our instructing spiritual master and also our initiating spiritual master, our Gurudev. Okay? The saintly person who is the resident of Vrindavan. Okay? The pure, unalloyed, loving servant of the Supreme Person, the spiritual master. Okay. Basahin ko to para magkaroon tayo ng foundation with clarity kung anong gagawin natin. Kasi prior to this, we already discussed that we must be guided by the instruction of Lord Krsna. So the spiritual master gives us instruction, and that is to listen from his representative and be guided by his loving representative, the spiritual master. So the spiritual master teaches us how we can redirect the mind, because the mind is very powerful, because the material desires are all in the mind. Okay? And that's where Maya or illusion influence us. That's why we have this gross body. Desire to enjoy this material world. That's why we have this body. Okay? To enjoy the senses. Because we focus and meditate upon our own will, and we are so covered and we are in ignorance na yung material energy, we think we can manipulate it and it belongs to us for our enjoyment. Kaya we suffer. So, at least, naintindihan nyo clearly yun? Naintindihan nyo? Govinda Dasi? Naintindihan nyo? If you cannot understand it, then you can ask ni Chalila Dasi, okay, to explain to you in layman's term why. Okay. Ito ang unang isa pinaka ni Lord Chaitanya Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together. Thus, the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death is extinguished. Okay? Repeated, the fire of conditional life. Na condition ka to be directed by the environment, by our consciousness, dictated and governed or under the laws of material nature, the three modes. Okay. Of repeated birth and death is extinguished. Why do we continue existing in this body to experience suffering of birth and death? Because we have material desires. And when we leave this body, we will be following and try to experience again. We'll experience again those desires. That's why we're given this body, this field of activity, this body. Okay. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large. Because it spread the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it helps to have a taste of the full nectar which we are always anxious. So, to put it in a nutshell, we are meant to give pleasure to Lord Krishna. Although the Supreme Person is self-sufficient, we're meant for Krishna's happiness and enjoyment based upon rendering pure unalloyed devotional service, which is inseparable from us because by nature we will be engaging in service. Because when we speak of nature, not this material nature, our true transcendental activities, which is to serve. Yun ang eternal religion. To serve. To please. But sa mundo na to, we are being driven to serve our senses because we are so conditioned to trying to find happiness through following the dictates of the mind and try to fulfill those desires. Like an itch, you have to scratch and scratch. The more you scratch, the more you get itchy. Is it clear sa inyo? Naintindihan nyo? So, bakit? Why? It's so hard for us to carry on, to be in a world that is transcendental, not touched by this material nature, material consideration. Why? Why? The reason is we are not in harmony with God's pleasure. Hindi tayo in harmony with God's pleasure. Ano yung pleasure ng Supreme Person? To see us fulfilled and happy, protected in our love, in relationship with Him. Anong ginagawa ng lahat dito? Desire-driven. May sarili silang mundo. Yung mundo nilang the world of death. Yun na lang, para diretto. The world of death is this body. You try to control, you try to enjoy, you get attached to this world, and you have extended false ego, thinking you're the body, you're the Lord, my son, my daughter, my family, my uncle, blah, 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 blah. Then you suffer. Because you're focusing in the world of death. And if your meditation is based upon the world of death, your body, to enjoy, to satisfy what you're longing for, kung ano yung akala nyo magbibigay sa inyo ng satisfaction. But in reality, it's just simply to experience relief from the forces of the three modes of material nature. To be relieved. Kaya gusto mo ma-relieve. So what happened when a person is covered under the laws of material nature? The person is driven by lust. Ano yung lust? Matinding pagnanasa. When a person has this covering, when in misdirection, not in harmony with the will of God. The will of God is He wants us to give Him pleasure. Kung titignan nyo, yung story, lahat ng ginagawa ng pure unalloyed devotees, pure unalloyed, even the Son of God, the beloved Son of God,
what does He do? Give pleasure to the Father. From the point of view ng mga individuals, he's suffering. But the devotee can perform activities. Seemingly from external point of view, makita natin, hassle yan, suffering yan, problema yan, okay? But the devotee is transcendental to that suffering because his happiness is connected with the source of pleasure, Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, protects us when we offer our life, our love, to give Him pleasure. Is it understandable? That's why the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is based upon love. Lord Krishna is telling us, if one offers me with love and devotion, a little fruit, a little water, a leaf with devotion, He'll accept it because He loves our love. Although He's self-sufficient. Because we're meant for His pleasure. Ang problem dito sa mundo ngayon, nakikita natin, we think everybody is meant for our pleasure, our security. Kaya halimbawa, nasa katawan ka ng babae, o kaya nanay ka, tatay ka, okay? Nasa katawan ka ng tatay. So yung akala mo, mundo mo, for your pleasure, lordship, surrogate God, okay? My son, okay? My wife, okay? It's all about me, me, me. And you're cut off. Wala ka sa harmony ng pleasure ng Supreme Person. Is it clear? So a devotee is not someone who poses as a devotee. A devotee is someone who understands the truth. A devotee is someone who engages his life, surrenders in harmony with what is transcendental and his true transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of God. Pero dahil na-condition tayo ang hirap, kasi we follow desires. Kaya po, we have discussed about desire. Desires are not eternal. Desires are not eternal. For example, you want to have a child, what they discussed yesterday, okay? Mahal mo yung bata, maliit pa lang, baby, 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 okay? Di ba? Pagtagal, lumalaki na yung bata, ayaw mo naman sa kanya dahil sutil na, gahay na, maldito na. Okay? Mutubag na, okay? Hanggang mamaya, gumagawa na ng, dahil yung relationship loss, perverted, kaya may anger. Intindihan niyo? Kaya kung yung relationship natin sa mundo natin is based upon bodily identification, then we'll experience the pain of lust, anger. So mangyari nun, yung desire, gusto mo, sa mind mo, you identify yourself as a body, mommy, papa, okay? Halimbawa, dumating sa point na lagay mo si Anantadas, okay? Sabi ng mama, Anantadas, ang cute mo. Bata pa si Anantadas, okay? Biglang mamaya, lumalaki. Pag inuutusan, di ko. Okay, pag tumingin, sipatan pa mata. Okay? Mas dako pa ang baba kaysa sa mama, okay? Tindihan niyo? Ngayon, dahil yung mama, mahal ka niya, yung desire, mahal ka niya, gusto ka niya, anak kita, okay? Mahal kita. Pero ngayon, dahil sa ugali mo, ayaw ko naman sa'yo. Wala na akong desire. So ngayon, ikaw naman, gusto mo, Mama, I love you, pero ayaw mo naman ng inaano sa'yo, treatment sa'yo. Okay, ba't mo pinapakialaman? May sarili akong isip. Kaya mangyari nun, mag-away kayo, di ba? Kahit labayan mo bato yung bahay, bag. Tapos yung mama mo tatakbo, kuha ng itak. I love you, tigbason ta ka. Okay? Di ba? Di ba, nakikita niyo yun. Kaya nakakatawa dahil, una, mahal ka niya. Pero pagtagal, kuha siya sundang. Dagang ka ba? Mahal kita, mama, mahal kita. Pero, wow! Di ba? Kita niyo? You become insane. You're driven by lust. A force. Kasi ayaw mo. Gusto mo magmahal. Okay? But it's a perverted relationship based upon material consideration and following the desire. Pero hindi natin nakikita kasi mahirap magsalita ng gawin na lang natin na kinulong ka na ni Maya ng illusion. Okay. So ngayon, kaya ako sinasabi to, para maging simple lang yung buhay natin. Kasi simple lang yung buhay. Every morning, gising ka, mag-chant ka, mag-work, mag-offer ng service, mag-rest, kirtan, tapos sa gabi kirtan na naman, tapos next day, gano'n na naman. Kaya sasabihin ng mind, inana na lang ba na? Hantud-hanturan? Okay? Ana na lang ba ta? Okay. Maraming mga living entity napunta rito sa Madana. Okay? Pero dahil hindi nila nakita, hindi nila naintindihan. Okay? Kaya hindi nila sinunod yung transcendental process, yung wisdom. Pag sinabi ko kahapon, pag may sakit ka, punta ka sa doktor, bigyan ka niya medication, gagaling ka. Pero pag hindi mo sunod, kaya nandito ka, hindi mo ma-appreciate. So ngayon, yung prime benediction, kaya very simple yung process. Kasi si Lord Chaitanya, who came here 500 years ago, nagbigay siya ng ehemplo, halimbawa. Unang-una, binigay niya, lumapit siya sa Kaisvara Puri, sa spiritual master niya, coming in the line of disciplic succession, coming from Krsna. Disciple siya ni Madhavendra Puri, si Isvara Puri, at binigyan siya instruction to chant. Pero nung bata pa si Lord Chaitanya, pagdating niya sa bahay, nung pinanganak si Lord Chaitanya, okay, Mother Sachi, kasi he's playing the role of an ordinary child. Hindi siya nagpunta rito kagaya ng pagdating ni Krishna na surrender unto me, kaya yung demon, putol yung ulo. Okay? Yung mga demon, yung pupuntang demon kagaya ni Sankasura, okay, dead ball. Okay? Si Kaliya na daga ng ulo na, kitsa ka! Okay? Gilaptan mo akong lugar. Paako niya si Krishna. Mag-dance si Krishna sa ulo niya. Dudududududududug. Okay? Dudududududug. Hanggang halos mamatay na siya. Suka siya ng mga dugo. Kaya yung sin na sa puso, yung heart niya, yung sinful reaction, nawala. Okay? Kung yung time na yon, wala man tayo sa time na yon, surrender. Ngayon, ang tanong, kaya ba niyo sumurrender kay Krishna? Hindi. So, ang ginawa ni Lord Krishna, nag-appear siya as the holy names to purify our heart from these demoniac, conscious, sinful activities that if you chant the holy names, your heart will become purified. Then you can redirect the mind. And not only that, it gives pleasure to God. It gives Him happiness. When we are happy, glorifying Him. Yun ang point doon. Kaya kung may problema ka sa buhay, malungkot ka, impyerno yung buhay mo, kailangan mag-chant ka. Kasi yun ang process. So ngayon, ito yung attitude. Okay? Si Lord Chaitanya, nung nasa pinanganak siya, nandito siya, pinanganak siya under sa neem tree. Dahil sa sobra niyang so beautiful child, kasi nga golden yung complexion, so beautiful and attractive child. Kaya lahat ng mga kapitbahay pupunta. So si Lord Chaitanya iyak namang iyak man. So the only way hinto si Lord Chaitanya, pag magsabi sila, Haribol! 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 Hindi. Pag huminto sila, okay? Nakita niyo yung point ka? So if we continue on engaging in this sacrifice, the Sankirtan Yajna, then Lord Chaitanya is pleased. Kasi that is His mission. To connect us with the pleasure of His pleasure. Why? Because it's the world that is transcendental to this material consideration. We become pure unalloyed devotees of Krishna. One-pointedly very fixed. And then our activities, our consciousness is simply doing the will of the Supreme Person, giving Him pleasure. Because we are meant for that. Hindi tayo ang Lord. Okay? Hindi kayo yung king of nothing, ang kawawang cowboy. Di ba? Lahat gusto maging cowboy eh. Pero wala namang baril, walang kabayo. Okay? Cowboy lang. Okay? So, stop. Enough na of trying very hard to fight a force greater than us. Material nature. And try to control it. Okay? Kaya nga kung minsan, very, very clear na dapat yung process with clarity from someone who is God Himself. Okay? Sino susundin mo? God Himself. Ano yung guidance natin? Scriptures. Coming from God Himself. Okay? And guided by the Lord within the heart, clarified and clearly, given to us with the wisdom coming from our spiritual master, unchanging. Very secure. Kaya kung gagawin natin yon, then we will be giving pleasure to Lord Chaitanya. So ang gagawin lang natin is to chant and dance, to sing the holy names. Because the holy names is not different from God. It is His pleasure to see us giving Him pleasure by offering our life, our love. We're meant for that. Hindi tayo meant dito to play surrogate God. Aling surrogate? Playing God ba? Kaya, paano nangyayari yon? When we identify with the false body, this body, false ego, we try to control. And not only that, kung minsan dinadala pa natin yan sa so-called spiritual life. Okay? In the name of control. How do you control? You portray yourself as very advanced devotee. Okay? You chant. Okay? You're confidential. Okay? Your special project. Not only that, whatever you do, you can know a tree by its fruit. Whatever activities you engage in, there will be a corresponding reaction. Okay? So dito natin makikita, when you chant the holy names, you're protected from being diverted from the pleasure of God. Because you won't be listening to those who poses as God, who wants to dominate you by imposing their own selfish control, lordship, even in the name of so-called spiritual life. Because what they're doing is not in harmony with the will of God. It's about control. And they're not God. How can they satisfy you? How can they're also conditioned. That's why we're advised to follow someone who is a pure loving servant of the Supreme Person, who has no material consideration, not someone who's appointed. You look clearly with yourself. Sa inyo ba? Ano ba talaga gusto nyo? Okay? So si Lord Krishna, very directly, sinasabi niya, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Okay? Protect you from what? From our unhappiness. Protect us from what we're longing for to give us this connection. Kaya yung desire mo will be transcendental. The desire to do the will of God. That is Bhakti Yoga. It's not just, we chant para magkaroon tayong peacefulness. Yoga, yoga, yoga. Okay? No. The truth will set you free from suffering, from disconnection, for what you're longing for. You're longing for the happiness, the pleasure of God, which is devotional service. So I'll read to you why. Why? And what will be achieved? Ano yung ma-achieve natin if we follow the footstep of the saintly person? Bakit kailangan sundin nyo yung footstep ng saintly person? Halimbawa, pag sinabi yung footstep, kung saan sila dumaan, yun ang sundin natin. Kasi yung tamang daan. Hindi yung kuro-kuro, hung-hung na mga tao dyan, okay? Sinabi ni Lord Krishna, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Pero may magsasabi sa inyo, wag, hassle yan, problema yan. Okay? Ito ang sundin mo. Ha? Pero tanongin mo, nasaan ka dai? Okay? Okay? Nasaan ka? But may opinion din siya. Lahat may opinion. Okay? Lahat may opinion. May gustong sabihin. So we must be very discerning. Alam yung discerning? Maingat na tignan natin maigi kung yung person na to pure unalloyed devotee ni Krishna na mag-guide sa atin. Until and unless a person is in the stage of that purity, lahat ng decision-making niya will be tainted with the influence of material nature, lust, contaminated. Kaya mag-ingat tayo. Kasi itong mundo na to, lahat ng tao dito gusto maging Lord. Lord. Okay? Kaya whenever a person comes in contact with the spiritual master, yung lordship na yon, dala-dala nila. Okay? They interfere with your relationship with God. Alam mo yung interfere? Makialam ba sila? But mayroon din paraan na tinuro sa atin. Ano yung tinuro ni Lord Chaitanya? Na yun yung pundasyon ng buhay natin. Alam yung pundasyon? Doon tayo dapat mag-cling. Ito. One can chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind. Okay? Humble state of mind. Feeling himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. So when we fall down, we know we're helpless, and we take shelter of the Supreme Protector, the holy names, then we're protected. You can make a stand. Alam mo yung duwag? Alam mo yung duwag? Kubardon. Alam niyo yan? Talawan. Okay? You're given the opportunity to be close, to do the will of God, to be close with Him. Pero yung desire na condition ka kung anong gusto mo, anong kakamutin mo. Okay? Gusto ko nito, gusto ko noon, gusto ko ganitong environment. Pero hindi mo nakikita yung environment mo rito sa mundo na to ay kadiliman, kamatayan. Okay? Na condition ka man. Inisip mo, kaya ngayon, hindi mo kayang ialay yung buhay mo. Buong buhay mo, pagsilbihan ang puong may kapal. Ang susundin mo, yung influence ng material nature. Yung desire, yung false ego. Kasi contaminated tayo, yung heart natin, with sinful activities, and we envy God. We're envious of God. Kaya kung minsan, dinadala natin yon even in the path that supposedly will give us connection with the pleasure of God. We do things for our own self. Okay? For our own self. We chant for our benefit. Okay? But what is pure devotional service? It is for the pleasure of God. His pleasure. It's like given by our instructing spiritual master, analogy. If you water the root of the tree, all the leaves and branches will be nourished. Halimbawa, nagdidilig man kayo, dyan, no, di ba? Pag diniligan nyo yung dahon, anong mangyayari sa tanim? Na hindi na pupunta sa ugat, anong mangyayari? Diba? Malaya. Di ba? Mag-try. But if you water the root of the tree, anong mangyayari sa puno? Sa tree, sa plant? May buhay. So, ganun din tayo. We are not self-sufficient. No matter what you do, you try to do and follow kung anong gusto mo, you will still be like that branch that is cut off. Ginagawa mo, dinidiligan mo lang yung dahon. But if you water the root of the tree, then may buhay. If we are in harmony with the pleasure of God, just like all the devotees, Bali Maharaj, makita nyo, they are completely dependent upon the Supreme Person. They give pleasure to the Supreme Person. And the greatest pleasure that we can give to the Supreme Person is glorifying His names. The more we glorify His holy names, His pastimes, His activities, the relationship of His devotees with Him, their loving surrender, in purity, we experience the pleasure of God. And this is centered around the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Nakita nyo, very simple yung process to purify us, to give us what we're longing for. So ngayon, kailangan, alam nyo yung nilolong nyo. Kung ang nilolong nyo yung sa mind nyo, then malaking problema. Kasi you're not the desire. Desire will change. Matingnan na lang nyo mahigyat. I'll talk bluntly lang, okay? Halimbawa, nalagay yung isang individual, yung mind niya, yung mind niya, inisip niya, yung enjoyment, yung desire niya, gusto niya enjoyment ng babae. Okay? Gusto niya magmahal ng lalaki. Okay? May desire siyang ganon. Okay? Yung mind niya, babae, pero katawan niya, lalaki. Yun yan. Kaya ngayon, yung desire niya, magmamanifest sa mga activities niya, sa body. Okay? Magmiminiskirt siya, magsalita siya ng, ano may mga salita nila, yung mga chair, choy-chair, iba ganon. Puro paeklat, teklat, yun ba? Char. So, hindi nyo napapansin, they influence people. Okay? Kaya yung mga ganon, yung sound vibration, influence you. Kaya kung kasama mo parati, char. Pagtagal, ganun ka na rin, char. Okay? Pero hindi man ikaw yung desire. But because of your association with char, naging charcoal ka na. Okay? Hindi na nyo? Nag-experience nyo yan, di ba? Na-experience nyo, nanonood kayo ng Koreano. Di ba? Pagdating nyo rito, lahat ng buhok nyo, kulang na lang mag-Amerikana kayo, mas hindi kayo Amerikano. Di ba? Na Koreano, Amerikano. Okay? So ngayon, wala na yung desire nyo na yun. Nawala na. Okay? Kung nawala na nga. Okay? Pero sa mind nyo, nandun pa rin. So ito yung process na gusto kong sabihin sa inyo. Para maintindihan nyo ba? Para very clear, we will succeed. Okay? We will succeed. Magtatagumpay tayo. Okay? Yung, naalala nyo yung yung dati, nung nagkaroon ng revolution, ano yung kanta nila? Ano yung kanta sa revolution? Baby pa siguro kayo kasi 1976, 1970, ano yun eh? 86. Ilang taong ka na? Hindi ka pa pinanganak. Wala pa pinanganak sa iyo. Alam nyo, sa hirap nun, problema lahat, ang kanta nun, nagkaroon ng revolusyon. Natanggal yung administrasyon, nasipa yung mga tao na sa posisyon. Tapos lahat, nagkaroon sila ng imbis national anthem, bayang mga, hindi na ganun. Ano yung kanta nila? Di na ako papayag na mawala ka muli. Okay? Ano yung tono na yon ni Chalila? Ano yung tono na? Okay? Tindihan nyo? Tapos, kaya lang, meron din silang kanta na kung hindi nyo maintindihan maigi, ay magagamit ni Maya para makulong ka. Okay? Para makulong ka. Ano yun? Yung following the desire. Okay? Ano yung kanta naman nila? Ano yung kanta nila? Ano yung ibong ano yun? Hindi ibong adarda. Okay? Yung kanta ba na yun. Ibon man may layang lumipad. Pero pag nasa bodily identification ka, kulong ka. Okay? Kulong ka. Hindi ka makakalis sa kulungan. Masi akala mo may laya ka kasi misdirected yung laya mo. Okay? Itong mundo na to, parang nasa mental hospital ka rito eh. Dahil maraming dito, mukhang intakto pero luko-luko. Okay? Ngayon, sino ang baliw? Okay? Yun ang tanong. Kung baliw ka, dito ka. Okay? Mag-play Lord ka. Anong magpo-force sa'yo para maging mabaliw ka? Lust. Di ba? Lust. Pag lust, frustrated ka na yung hinahanap mong kaligayahan, hindi mo makamtan. Kasi living ka eh. Living, life, aware. Ang mundo mo, mundo ng walang buhay. Kaya frustrated ka. Okay? Kawawa ka. Kaya, masi anong gawin mo? Ang kawawang cowboy. Masi may baril ka, baril-barilan, nakala mo cowboy ka, pero wala. You're doomed. You're lost. Okay? So I'll read this teaching, yung glories ng holy names, kung ano yung pure devotee. Kasi maraming nagsasabi kung ano yung devotee. Maraming nagsasabi. Kayo, di ba, naisip nyo, ano ba talaga ako? Ano ba talagang posisyon ko? Who am I? Why am I here? What is a devotee then? Kung gagamitin nyo yung utak nyo, mahirap. Ha? Mahirap. Kasi yung mind nyo, hindi naman kayo yung mind. Halimbawa pala, na-condition ka, yung mind mo, desire mo, nasa katawan lalaki ka, tapos yung mind mo ginagamit mo, isip mo girl ka. Okay? Pagtagal, alam niyo may mga nangyaring ganyan, nisip niya, girl ako, kailangan mahalin ako. So ginawa niya, tawag nila mga transgender, ano ba yung mga ginagawa? So nagpalaki ng tutoy, tinanggal yung organ niya, naglagay siya organ ng babae. Alam mo? Lahat ng buhok. Dito niya, Adam's apple na, how are you? How are you? Nalis, okay? Kasi desire ng mind niya eh. Kailangan girl ako, okay? Yung label, girl ako, okay? Kaya, nisip niya, mag-blonde ako ng buhok, magsalita ako ng girl. Kaya makita niyo sila, pero sikat, pumapalakpak ay yung mga nakikinig. Okay? Natutuwa. Okay? Let the clowns come in. Parang circus ba? Okay, let's enjoy. Let the clowns come in. Nandun na, darating na yun sila. Magsasalita ng nakakatuwa, pero actually hindi nakakatuwa. Puro makamundong bagay na walang buhay. Okay? Kaya nga, kung sensitive tayo, nagme-make tayo ng progress sa spiritual understanding natin, nung dinescribe ng spiritual master natin, si Arjuna, he's a pure loving servant of Krishna. Wala siyang desire kingdom. Wala siyang desire for anything. Okay? Wala siyang material consideration. Kaya ayaw niyang lumaban. Pacifist ang sinabi. Even sabi niya, matalo ko yan, maakin itong mundo na to. Wala rin, hindi ako interested. Hindi siya interested sa lahat. So to make it very clear sa inyo, sa atin, yung wisdom na sinusunod natin ay eternal. Based upon scriptures, coming from the Lord Parampara, coming from Lord Krishna. Number 2, spiritual master natin. Number 3, Lord within the heart. So when we follow the process of sacrifice sa Kali Yuga, we will be able to experience connection with the Supreme Person, the giver of happiness. Kaya nga, when you chant, don't you notice, you chant Gopala, Govindarama, or Hare Krishna every day. Pero kinakanta pa ba niya? Kaya ba niyong kantahin araw-araw? Tik-tok-tok, tik-tok-tok, tik-tik-tok. Sabayan kayo ng tako, tako, tik-tik-tok, tako, tako. Di ba? Araw-araw, dumadaan dyan. Isda, 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 isda. Hanggang pagtagal, kuyawan yung mga tao, isda, isda dito, isda, isda doon, isda, isda. Mabuang ko. Okay? Yan. Pero pag chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay? You're happy. It purifies you. Yun ang difference. The power of the holy names is not different from the power of God. It's synonymous. Isa lang yun. Okay? So babasahin ko sa inyo ngayon itong teaching na to kung gaano ka-importante yung glorification ng holy names. Question by Maharaj Pariksit. So when Maharaj Pariksit sat down for 7 days and for 7 nights listening to Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami is our instructing spiritual master, our spiritual master, who is the disciple of Narada Muni. Okay. Is it clear? Tindihan niyo? A pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquish the lotus feet of the Lord, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. So when the living entity, tayo na nandito sa mundo na to, we suffer so much kasi wala tayo sa lugar talaga natin. Itinatawag natin the transcendental world of Lord Krishna. So while we are here, we engage in the process to purify our heart, our mind, and follow the instruction of Lord Krishna, and understand yung katotohanan, and be guided by our spiritual master. And the attitude is surrender. Faithfully. Surrender ba? Faithfully. Not because you believe. Alam niyo yung believe? Tuo-tuo. Kundi nakikita nyo. Kagaya na nakita nyo. Halimbawa, pag uwi nyo, namatay yung nanay nyo. Oy, wala naman si mama. Alam nyo, umalis na si mama. Hindi, believe yun. Alam mo. Pero yung mga tao na tuo-tuo lang, anong mangyari sa kanila? Tawagon tayo ng mag-makeup kay mama, mortician, make-upan para gwapa. Kay namatay man siya, isara ang baba. Namatay siya nakalingkod. Okay? So, gahi na. So, masahiyon to sa embalsamador, tudududududug para birahon, para ang mama talagang, butangan na to, nakangiti. Okay? Mentas gi apas ka sundang ba? Natagtumba mama mo, ang sundang natuslok. Okay? Kaya ikaw man, gusto ka ni mo. Okay? Mama mo, gigog mata ka, tigbason ta ka karoon kay kahi mong ulo. Okay? Ikaw naman, nung baby ka, mami, milk. Karon, undangan nyo na. Di ko maminaw sa inyo. Dagang ka. Kay tigbaso ka masama. Pagtumba, tuslok. Okay. Umalis ang nanay mo. So, reality, nakita nyo, may umalis. Di ba? Hindi ba mahirap ba intindihin yun? Okay. Kaya ko sinasabi to para maging klaro yung decision making nyo sa buhay. Okay? We should be very clear kung anong gusto nyo. Kaya kung if you want to succeed, to please, to have a relationship with Lord Krishna, we must follow the teachings of our spiritual master and the path that Lord Chaitanya has given us. Kaya, the Sankirtan movement, yun yung path. Okay? Yun yung beginning, yun din yung end. Because it is the end itself to be glorifying the Supreme Person to do what is pleasing to the Supreme Person. Okay. Basahin ko One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart, but perfectly cleansed person never quits devotional service of the Lord. So, they make a stand. Okay? Bakit? Paano nangyayari? A pure devotee. Pag sinabi niyo pure devotee, ano ba yung pure devotee? Di ba? Yun ang tanong niyo. So, when you engage in the process of purification, you chant, o kaya you engage with wisdom, engage in mystic yoga, control of the senses. As long as hindi na purify yung heart natin from material consideration, we're not liberated, and we're not engaged in the process that is pleasing to God. Our natural tendency to serve, love God, to give pleasure to God. Kasi we're meant to give pleasure to God through unalloyed pure devotional service. And when we do that, He Himself will take charge. Hindi na ikaw. He'll protect you. Protect you with what you're doing and engaging in rendering service purely. Kasi He loves it. He loves you and He gives you the impetus to taste what is sweet, this relationship. He's the one who takes care. Okay? So ngayon, bakit hindi nagme-make progress yung isang individual? We must come to the point of complete surrender as the third prayer of Lord Chaitanya. So we can make a stand. Ano yung stand? Maging matapang ka ba? You're not a coward sa pressure. Okay? Hindi yung, listen mga idiri, kadadlaw ko na, ulay na ko. Okay? Pero hindi mo alam, actually, yung mga ibang living entity na punta rito sa, don't put your finger in your mouth, it's dirty, your saliva. Psst, huwag mo ilagay yung bibig, kamay mo. Kasi pag hinawakan mo yan, tapos kumuha ka ng pagkain, yung laway, yung bacteria, nandun, kinain ni Kirtandas, yung laway, nasa iyo. So, bad habit yan, not good habit, okay? So, ang point ko, diniscuss dito, na yung pure devotee ni Krishna can save all of us. Okay? Why? Because he's not different from God. He's God the servant, and He can bless us through His mercy. Pick us up. Yun ang pure devotee. He has that potency. Okay? Because he's not different from God. So ngayon, tayo na living entity, we must take shelter of the spiritual master and follow His instruction. Ang pangalawa, kung yung individual, alam niyo yung tubig, pag umuulan, yung maduming tubig, umuulan, di ba may tubig na madumi, pag umulan na malakas, nawawash out na lilinis, linis, di ba? So, yung pure devotee can purify all of us and save all of us. Because not different from God. Okay? Like Sukadev Goswami, Narada Muni, they can save everyone. Provided you make the decision to be in harmony with the will of God. Okay? Meaning your attitude, your prayer, your motivation. We must become free from lust. Ngayon, kung yung living entity, tayo, na-purify ka kasi syempre mag-engage ka sa process ng meditation, hatha yoga, yung vegetarian ka, vegan, okay? Pero ino-offer mo, pero kung hindi mo ino-offer, may feeling ka ng gusto mo maging eternal sa body, lahat ng kakainin mo healthy, to have healthy body, to enjoy the body, okay? Hindi para yung body gamitin sa service ni Krishna. Kasi makikita naman yun every day of our lives. How much time you're giving in the service of God. How much you're immersed. Okay? O kaya, ang ibig ko sabihin, may tubig dyan, dapat maligo ka, pero ginagano mo lang yung daliri mo sa tiil ba? Okay? Yun lang natitigma mo. Okay? Kaya yung buong katawan mo madumi. Kasi tiil mo lamang, ginaganon mo. If you jump in the water has the potency to cleanse your body, okay? Ngayon, yung tubig, may certain chemical, yung tubig, na purify. Tubig, kagaya ng water purifier. Pero, nandun pa rin yung sediment. Kasi di ba, pag dumaan yung tubig, papasok lahat yung mga sediment doon. Alin sediment? Kanang ugaw Okay? Ngayon, kung ma-agitation, halimbawa, malinis, para mas madali yung drum. Nandun man kayo naliligo, di ba? Pag nilagay nyo yung tubig sa gabi, lahat ng sediment, bababa. So pagdating na umugo, clear kayo. Kinsay unay maligo, limpyo yung tubig. Okay? Kinsay di tapulan. Okay? Ngayon, pag yung tubig, maganon, ano mangyari sa sediment? Okay? So hanggat yung material desire is not cut to the root, yung mind ma-agitate. Yung pure devotee, wala siyang material desires. Kaya anong gawin mo, pure pa rin. Pero yung contaminated pa rin, yung surrender, hindi in harmony, konting agitation. Makikita nyo magbibigay ako halimbawa. Totoo example to hindi to biro-biro lang. May mga so-called yogi. Yogi talaga sila, yogi pero hindi devotee. Okay. Tuturo sila ng meditation. Kontrolado nila yung mind nila, yung senses nila, pero ang problem, may material desire. Lord. Kaya ang dami niyang followers, nagtuturo siya ng purity, meditation, positive thinking, Pero dahil yung heart niya, hindi pure from lust. Nandyan yung isang artista na napakaganda, naging disciple niya, okay? Tuturo siya ng control of the mind, control of the senses, pero teka. Okay? Teka, napakaganda. Yung mind, nagtatanong sa kanya ng, Master, what is it, my master? Okay? So, siya yung master, pero ngayon, naging dancing dog na siya. Alam yung dancing dog? Kadang ito'y ba na, okay, doggy, stand up, bigyan kita ng cookie. Alam niya? Paano tinetrain yung aso? Gutom yung aso. Nandun ka, may dalang pagkain. Ganunin mo. Yung aso lalapit, No. Tindig ka, lakad ka parang tao. Kaya yung aso maglakad. Doggy. Master. Okay? Tapos, igaganon mo yung pagkain. No. Tahol ka. Aw. Okay? Hindi niya? So ngayon, yung so-called meditator, guru, ang daming followers, naging doggy na. Master. Okay? Kasi may ino-offer si Maya. Nakita niya, napakaganda ng artista na ito, si Mia. Okay? Laging nakatabi, mayaman. Okay? So what happened? Yung master, nalagay na sa wallet. Ito ang teacher ko, nasa wallet. Okay? Kinahon yung teacher. Intindihan niya? Si Haridas Thakur, pumunta talaga yung prostitute, pinadala ng mga demon. Okay? Anong sabi ng mga envious kay Krsna? Bakit siya nagchat-chat ng pangalan ng Hindu God? Okay? Muslim siya. Okay? Sabi naman ng mga Muslim, ng mga Hindu, bakit siya nagchat-chat ng pangalan ng Diyos natin? Muslim siya. Okay? Hindi maganda to. At ang daming sumusunod sa kanya. Nawawala na. Hindi na tayo sikat. Siya na yung sikat. Okay? Patayin siya. Okay? Paano natin siya papatayin? Wala naman siyang ginagawa. Nakaupo lang siya nagchat-chat ng Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay? Paano natin siya? Nasa cave lang siya. Okay? Lahat ng tao pupunta doon. Nag-o-offer ng respect. Sikat. Tayo. Nasa power. Mga great. Okay? Okay? Confidential. Okay? Servant of God. Okay? Sinisira niya yung reputasyon natin. Patayin siya. Padala natin si Miss. Okay? Punta doon yung prostitute. Okay? Piliin natin yung pinakamagandang prostitute. Okay? Daan yan. Parang Miss Universe ba? Miss. Kinsay pinakagwapa. Okay? Kine. Para ma-attract agad si Haridas Thakur. Okay? Padala. So, nando na. Pero dahil ang spiritual master, ang pure devotee, pure, hindi siya yung kagaya ng tubig na nilagyan mo lang ng water purifier, nandun pa rin yung dumi, sa ilalim lang. Kaya konting agitation, kakalat. So yung devotee, liberated siya from material desire. So yun yung dapat ma-achieve natin. And paano natin ma-achieve yun? With wisdom. And the blessing of the spiritual master. Malaman mo ba, di man pala ako ni, sabihin ng mind sa'yo, halimbawa, yung mind mo, conditioning dati, dahil may desire kang mag-enjoy ng katawan ng babae, mag-enjoy ng lalaki, pinanganak ka ngayon, nandun ka sa gitna. Okay? Gusto ko, girl ako, pero boy ako. Okay? Susundin mo. Okay? Susundin mo ba si Vice hindi maganda? Na laging iba-iba yung forma, kinikeng ko yung sarili at pinapatawa kayo habang bili kayo nito. Kumikita siya sa okay? At na-influensya niya lahat. Very powerful yan sila. Kaya wag nyo kukontrahin kung tatakbo kayo ng politiko. Pag kinontra nyo, marami ba yung hindi boboto sa inyo. Kaya dapat diplomatic kayo. Okay? Pag sinabi nilang, pwede ba kaming mag-asawa? Okay? Hindi, kaya ko lang sa. Pwede bang sasabihin ni, halimbawa, sabi ni Muraridas sa kay Kirtandas, will you marry me? You laugh. Pero parang, tama ba to? Or am I crazy? Okay? Pero sasabihin ng mga okay lang na, butar lang ko ninyo. Ako na magpasa-pasa. Ipasa na to na. Pasa na to na balaod. Kahit daghan man gusto magminyo. Okay? Ganon din. Nakita nyo yung isang tennis player? Magaling yun. Russian. Undefeated. Wala, makatalo. Pati tayo, matalo tayo sa bunong braso kasi mukha siyang nasa katawang babae pero pag tinanggal niya, nakasando siya. Okay? Bunalan ka. Kaya ang pagbunal niya sa bola, gi-compute nila, pag maigo ka, knockdown ka. Tennis ba? Kanang pag labay ni mo sa bola, siya pag-ana pa lang, mulipad. Ang bola, pag-ana ni mo, labay ka. Pildi ka. Meron man ni siyang, nag-marry rin siya. Kasama niya. Okay? Nasa katawang babae rin. Okay? So ngayon, tanong nyo, sino nga ba tayo? Okay? Saan ang kaligayahan? Saan ang proteksyon? Kailangan ba para maging masaya, matanggap tayo ng lipunan? Lahat ng mga tao boboto? Tama ka, may tama ka. Okay? Okay? Intindihan niyo? So kung kita niyo, sino ba nga baliw dito? Okay? Baka yung nagsasalita, baliw. Okay? Pero tanongin natin kung nasaan tayo. Pero ang point ko, yung pure devotee ni Lord Krsna, wala siyang material desire, liberated siya. At ang buhay niya is simply giving pleasure to God. And not only that, Krishna will be the one to take care of that love. Okay? He make it stand na hindi mawawalay yung pag-ibig na yon na inaalay mo sa Kanya. Kaya sabi niya, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Anong pinaka-importante sa buhay niyo lahat? Buhay niyo, di ba? Pag-ibig, kaligayahan. You give that to Krishna, galing min sa Kanya. You give that to Krishna, Krishna protects you. Kasi he enjoys it. He's the supreme protector. Kaya makita nyo, lahat ng devotees who surrendered fully, who has unalloyed pure devotional service, who protects them? Krishna. Kaya nung si Haridas Thakur dumating yung prostitute, back to the point. Kasi yung isa kanina, nakita niya yung artista, naging master. Okay? Naging, alam mo yung aso? Yung nandun, master. Master. Okay? How can I be advanced spiritually? Sabi ng so-called guru, nakaupo, nakangiti parati yun, yung guru na yun. Ewan ko kung nakangiti niya talagang, baka inoperahan ba yung bibig niya para pag nakita mo siya, nakangiti parati. Hindi mo makita nakaganon. Di ba sa Facebook may ganon? Ito nakangiti parati. Actually, yung kuminsan, mga kaibigan ko, may mga libro siyang binibigay. Pero ginagamit ng kaibigan ko yon sa CR, pag nagpupupo siya, binabasa niya ba, para madali siya magpupo. Kaya yung libro niya nasa CR. Pag makita mo palang, pupo na ako, kaya agaws ako dire. So, nangyari, nandun siya, pero makita nyo, dahil hindi niya yung pag-ibig niya at his envious of God, he wants to play God. Kaya lang nasa level ng I'm God. Ang nangyari, imbis naging God siya, naging master doggy na. Okay? Sabi nung girl sa kanya, Master, how can I advance? Okay? You can advance, just embrace me. Okay? Kiss me. Okay? Okay? So mangyari, para kang dancing dog. Alam yung dancing dog? Sa circus, hindi ba may dancing dog? Nakita kayo ng aso na nagsasayaw. May aso na nagsasayaw ng tango. Kasama yung master niya. Okay? Pero pagkatapos nang bibigyan ng pagkain. So ngayon, sa sobrang disconnected siya sa gusto niya maging Lord, naging servant siya ng senses niya. Ng desire. Okay? Para yung aso, nakakita na kayo aso na sa, hindi ba kung minsan merong, ano ba, hindi that's incredible. That's, yung ano yung tawag doon? Anong tawag doon? Ano? Yung palabas ng, hindi American Idol, yung, ano yung tawag doon? Yung mga circus. So doon mo makita yung kaibahan, a different world. Na yung person who has material desire, even though maraming followers, ang dating sa kanya, heavy siya. Heavy sa kalokohan. Heavy sa kalokohan at kabuktutan. Nakita niya, bakit? He sees the world as a place to enjoy. At ang matindi nito, he thinks he's God. I'm God, I'm above. Kaya enjoy siya. So naging para siyang aso. But Haridas Thakur is different. Completely different world. Pumunta yung prostitute because of his potency, his power, God the servant, the spiritual master of the holy name. He just chanted the holy names. Krishna, he's in a different world, not touched by this material world. Material consideration. And that person had a change of heart. Na-touch yung puso niya. Yun yung power ng devotee. The Lord within the heart. Who gives you this motivation? God. The Lord within the heart. If you make a decision sa buhay nyo, sa buhay natin, from now on, I'll do your will. I know for so long I've been envious. I don't know anything, but I want now to follow your desire, your will, and praying that I'll be able to fulfill my promise to my spiritual master and take shelter of your guidance when you tell us, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. And the spiritual master gives us a process chant the holy name. Doon ka lang, then you're protected. Pero kung you're not there, mahirap. Magiging talawan, kubardon, coward, you'll not make a stand. Kaya ang tingin mo, suffering. Isipin na lang nyo, is this. All of us here, we're playing Lord. Akala natin pag-aari natin. Ngayon, sabi ni Krishna, surrender unto me and I'll protect you. Give up everything and I'll protect you. Ayaw. Huwag mong gawin yan. Ba't mo ibibigay yung time mo kay Krishna? Bakit mo ibibigay yan? Hassle yan. Okay, that's Maya. Okay? Because everything belongs to Him. You come here with nothing, you're gonna live with nothing. Pero nandun ka man, yun ang naging nakahon ka, nakulong ka, yun ang angkla mo, yun ang shackle mo, yung lordship, yung false ego. You become free from that. So spiritual understanding comes with purification of the mind, the heart, and being liberated from material desire. But it needs now activities. And we're given this opportunity to glorify the holy names, the pastimes of God, to enter that world. Because it's descending. It's the supreme purifier. Kaya the more you listen what you're doing every day, read the pastimes of Krishna, it purifies you. It brings you to a world that is transcendental to this miserable world that is changing, because that world is eternal, unchanging. Is it clear? Okay? This wisdom is completely different from the conditioning you have heard. So if you want to become free, you want to be happy, we must be engaged in activities for the pleasure of God. Love Him, serve Him. That's why the foremost commandment is to love the Supreme Person. Because it gives Him happiness to protect us. The Lord within the heart protects us by giving us this wisdom, this connection, this embrace. So ngayon, paano nyo malalaman how you're being protected? Sabi ni Lord Krishna sa Bhagavad Gita, from me comes remembrance and forgetfulness. If you are sincere to really serve and love God, to have a relationship with the devotee of God, Krishna helps you remember. Paggising mo pa lang, kailangan gawin ko to. Pero pag hindi, sino magko-cover sa'yo? Kasi ayaw mo. Okay? You'll not remember. Kasi wala ka sa liwanag. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Okay? Hindi ka bulag ba? Alam mo? Kagaya yung ginagawa nila, alam yung ginagawa ng mga tao ngayon? Di ba, ano yung ginagawa nyo pag nag-aral kayo, dumating na graduation, grade 12. Pero walang COVID, mayroon tayong dance. Ano yung dance ang sinatawag nila? Yung lahat ng anong tawag nila dance nga? Pag graduation na, yung magsasama-sama lahat yung magkaklase, makakaroon ng party to dance. Okay? Hindi, tribute to JS, okay? Sasayaw ko pareho kayong, bulag kayo ba? Lahat kayo nagsasayaw. Yakap-yakap nyo. Yung sweet dance. Ang music, sweet. Sweet nga ba? Okay? Pero bulag kayo lahat. Tapos hindi mo alam, can I dance with you? Hindi mo alam, poste na pala. Okay? Kung may kaso ka, nandun yung sheriff, yung police, bulag. Can I dance with you? Pag gano'n mo, ba't may posas ako? Dali ka na sa presinto. Kulong ka. Okay? Ignorance is no excuse. Bata kay matanda, pag ignorante ka, you touch fire, you get burned. Okay? Kaya akala mo sweet. Hindi mo alam, yung unggoy pala nakawala, hawak-hawak mo. Okay? Tapos ang malungkot pa nito, pagkatapos ng prom dance nyo, hiwalay na kayo. Na-attach ka, iniwan ka ni Kurdapya, Kaya, yakap-yakap mo na lang yung teddy bear na iniwan niya para maalaala mo daw siya. Okay? Tapos nabalitaan mo, may iba na siyang yakap. Pag yakap teddy bear,
Everybody sing your dance and chant loud. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate. Radha Siddhaswarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te